10 seconds to go. Zibanejad back for it. 5 seconds to go. No more time for the Rangers. The Rangers season has come to a disappointing end. It's over. The Florida Panthers have defeated the Rangers in Game 6, 2-1 to advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the second consecutive year. The Rangers' dream of a Stanley Cup has been ended in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Final.
Well, I'll tell you, they didn't gift it to Florida. I think that was their most complete 60 minutes of this series. And, again, did they get a lot of opportunities, second opportunities? No, but this was a team that didn't quit all year long, came off the mat as the ice is littered with the plastic rats. That goes back to the 1996 Stanley Cup Final.
And several of the Rangers down on one knee, just exhausted, Dave.
Right.
I'm just looking at the Rangers who just, they gave it everything.
They really did. I mean, I thought, and I said before, that this Florida Panther team was the best team in the Eastern Conference at New Year's. And as we take a look at the consoling of Igor Shesterkin by his mates, Bobrovsky on our monitor here as the teams will line up and shake hands. So this was a hell of a run for a Ranger team. Florida will go back to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second consecutive year. They are going to be a tough out for either Edmonton or Dallas.
They came in with a purpose, one singular purpose in these playoffs, to get back to the Stanley Cup Final from last year, and they did that. The handshake continues up and down the line. This is always one of the great moments of sports for me, Dave, and I know it is for you. I mean, you've been through it. There's so much emotion, so much given out in these games. I mean, everything is left on the ice by these players. They're just amazing athletes, and I will always remember Igor Shesterkin's effort in this series, and even though it ended in a series loss, he was just absolutely brilliant.
He was brilliant. There's no question, and we mentioned it at the top as he and Tarasenko, now he and Bobrovsky are embracing one another, and there's no question the Rangers' chances of moving forward in this series were enhanced with the play of Igor Shesterkin, the MVP in my heart for this series, the Ranger netminder. It's interesting to see the one opportunity that Artemi Panarin had open ice in the series came so late in the series.
Well, you know, you talked about it during the game, the way the Panthers collapse in front of the net, and you just don't get many second chances.
Right.
And it's so hard to get pucks through. This period started, every shot the Rangers took was blocked.
Right.
They had 2 shots through several minutes. And again, you had the time on it, and they couldn't get shots through because every player was blocking shots.
Well, Florida would end up with 23 blocked shots, and the Rangers, now again, just 5 shots in the third period, but Florida had been a pretty dominant third period team and has been over the course of the playoffs, and a lot. I just, from one point, I just can't speak highly enough of how they went out. They went out the best, as that was, to me, that was their best game of the series. They were from start to finish. You know, you give up one late in the first period, but you're still involved, and you get one late to make it 2-1. You fight like a dog right down to the bitter end, and a bitter end it is for a Rangers season that was a wonderful run, and a season that a new coaching staff, I think, brought in certainly a different look, a different feel. You had a group that basically demanded a new direction behind the bench. They all bought into it. There was a spirit of camaraderie created early, and that persisted right through the season. Consequently, they were in, 25 come from behind wins in the regular season, and a number of them here in the playoffs. And an awful lot is said to the group and to the coaching staff.
Absolutely. It started early. Rangers went on that 5-game road trip out west to Western Canada, and they came back as a bonded group. They won all 5 games on that road trip, and from then on you knew that this team was committed to be a successful team all year long. As far as the Florida Panthers are concerned, I admire what they did. They fed off of last year's surprising run in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they came back with a determination to get back to it again, and they committed to it, and they stuck with their game plan. Boy, they stuck with their plan in this series against the Rangers, and they took so many of the top Ranger players out of the series with their great play.
Yeah, out of the loop, and I think very little change in their game. A little bit. Listen, human nature being it is, they're trying to finish this thing off. The Rangers are coming hard. They get that late goal. But I'll tell you, rarely do we see a great discrepancy between the top of their game and when their game rolled over. I just was totally impressed. And you look at the team that lost in the finals last year, Montour and Ekblad were so hurt. They missed the first 6 weeks of this season. Tkachuk was hurt also. This is a healthy team now. And this is, and I think they're a better team now, personnel-wise. It's funny how their injuries worked out because Ekman Larsson and Kulikov come in to replace Montour and Ekblad, and they stick around and be really solid 5th and 6th, and you sign Mikkola. Yeah. So they did a really good job taking a team from the finals last year, and they got better. And they are not going to be an easy out for their next opponent.
The entire Panthers team lining up next to the trophy signifying the Eastern Conference Championship. No players touching the trophy. Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly is there as the pictures are being snapped, as for the second year in a row, the Panthers have gotten to the Stanley Cup Final, and Dave mentioned it earlier. They are the second team to lose in the Stanley Cup Final and repeat. The Penguins did it in 2008 and 2009, both years playing Detroit. Penguins lost in 08, came back the next year against Detroit and won the Stanley Cup. And the Florida Panthers will play either the Edmonton Oilers, who are up 3-2 in the Western Conference Final, or the Dallas Stars. And the Stanley Cup Final will begin on June 8th, a week from today.
So, that being said, I do want to, extend my congratulations. It's always difficult when it ends, but the Rangers have been a good year, and I've had the luxury of working with 3 or 4 great broadcasters this year. Sam, thank you. Kenny, Don La Greca, Alex Faust, Ray Santiago, all the gang back at ESPN, Kevin Meimanger and the crew at MSG. This is just the best sport alive, and I'm very proud to be part of this group.
And to my TV partner, Joe Micheletti, we had a great season. Missed you during the second and third round of the playoffs. Look forward to next season already because this is a great team to watch, and it was a great season. And to John Giannone and the guys in the studio doing the pregame and postgame, we thank them for their fabulous work. Kenny Albert, have a great call tomorrow night in the Western Conference Final. I know he was hoping that that series would end tomorrow and he could get back for Game 7 in this series. Just my thrill and privilege to be part of these broadcasts with you, Dave, and with Don La Greca. And again, to the entire Rangers organization. Overall, a terrific run, a great team, a great season, and a disappointing finish, 6 wins away from the ultimate goal, the Stanley Cup. It's close.
It's close. And the thing is, when you get this far, you don't have to answer quite as many questions as the teams that don't make it. But there's going to be one team left that doesn't have to answer to anybody. And Florida has the opportunity to do just that. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers.
Good luck to the Florida Panthers and to whomever they play in the Stanley Cup Final. It'll be a great final. That wraps it up here from Sunrise, Florida. Don La Greca is standing by with a complete post-game wrap-up. We thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the post-game. And you're listening to New York Rangers hockey on ESPN New York and the MSG Radio Network.
Welcome to the New York Rangers postgame show. Now here's Don La Greca on the MSG Radio Network.
Well, an amazing season ends in disappointment as the Rangers fall in Sunrise in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final by the score of 2-1 and lose the series 4-2, dropping a conference final decision in 6 games for the second time in the last 3 years. And this is one that you'll look back and say that the better team won. I mean, when you see the Florida Panthers, what they were last year, the run that they made, the outstanding regular season they had, only 4 points separated the Rangers and the Panthers in the regular season, and the Panthers won 2 of the 3 meetings in the regular season. Panthers won their division, as did the Rangers. So these were 2 very evenly matched teams, but what you saw of this Florida Panther team in this series is they just knew what they had to do to win. They felt that they got robbed of an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup last year because they were so banged up and injured by the time they took on the Vegas Golden Knights in the final. They were looking for this year to be different, and instead of a team that snuck into the playoffs as an 8 seed as they did last year, they won their division and were able to put themselves in a position to go after a Rangers team, and they took care of business, and they did what they had to do. There was very little room on the ice to do anything, as the Rangers did everything that they could to try to find any way to be able to generate offense, and they just never, ever could. When this series was 5-on-5, it was just a different series. And you saw how well the Panthers were able to execute their game plan to a T. And the Rangers, once their power play disappeared, as they ended up going 2 for its last 25 and only 1 goal in this series, the Rangers couldn't generate what they needed to offensively. But they had 2 thrilling overtime wins. Basically every game was 1 goal, where a bounce here and a bounce there, things could have been different. So we can say the better team won, but the Panthers are only slightly better. But that clearly showed. And you hope when you're a Ranger fan and you're a Ranger organization that you learn from losing, that this is an opportunity to find out what you need to do better to take that next step. And it's a copycat league, and everybody's going to want to try to be what the Florida Panthers are, and I think they are the best team of the 3 that are left and are going to win the Stanley Cup, to try to get to that level, to get bigger, to get stronger, and to realize that there is a gear that you have to find that you can get to. Athletes, while they're playing, will think that they have reached the level that they need to reach, and then realize that there is another level you're going to have to try to get to. And the Panthers were able to find that level, execute that level, and win this series 4-2. And now Peter Laviolette and this organization, it's only in year 1 of this current regime with these coaches. And Peter Laviolette signed a 3-year contract for a reason. You felt like that was the window in which they could do something with these core players. And in year 1, they go to the conference final. And maybe they'll learn the way the Panthers learned last year and take that next step next season. It's just disappointing to have to wait because there were just so many expectations with this series 2-1 after the Wenberg goal in overtime, where you felt like this team was going to do it. But they never got another win after that overtime victory and fall 4-2. And just like every other game, it felt like in this series, came down to a final shot. Panthers got it. Rangers didn't. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves. You're listening to Rangers Hockey on ESPN New York and the MSG Radio Network.
This is your radio home for New York Rangers hockey. This is 98.7 ESPN, WEPN FM, New York.
Coming up, we will go inside the room. We will also hear from Peter Laviolette, and we will talk about what the Rangers might need to do for next season, because their next game will not be until October 2024 for the start of the 24-25 season, as the Rangers season comes to an end after a 2-1 loss in Game 6 and a 4-2 series defeat at the hands of the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Final. You're listening to New York Rangers Hockey on ESPN New York and the MSG Radio Network. back to the Rangers postgame show as the Blue Shirts lose Game 6 in Florida 2-1, drop the best-of-7 series 4-2. Panthers now advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the second consecutive year, where they'll wait the winner of Edmonton and Dallas. That Game 6 will be tomorrow in Edmonton, with the Oilers leading it 3-2. Let's go with the highlights. Rangers facing elimination for the first time in these playoffs as they took on the Panthers in Sunrise, Florida. Sergei Bobrovsky versus Igor Shesterkin. Rangers wanted to get off to a good start, but Vincent Trocheck would take a hooking penalty at 3:56, so the Rangers would have to go to work on the penalty kill, and they took care of business. And then when we went back to 5-on-5, Igor was strong.
Panthers come out with it. Barkov getting it ahead of Reinhart, left side of Verhaeghe. He shoots, save, rebound loose in front, cleared away by Kreider. Big save by Shesterkin.
So Shesterkin's on top of his game, and then the Rangers had a chance to go on the power play. Kyle Oposo would take an interference penalty, but the Rangers could not take advantage of that. And little did we know at the time, those would be the only 2 penalties committed in the game, or at least the only 2 that were called by the officials. But the Rangers played a good first period, good back and forth, even though the Panthers ended up getting more opportunities as they ended up out shooting the Rangers in the first period 13-9. And Dave Maloney said it, that they just needed to get out of Dodge with a scoreless tie and then try to rework things in the second period. Rangers were not getting many opportunities in that period. They would end up going the final 6:24 without a shot on goal. With 50 seconds to go, Rangers with a bad clearing attempt, couldn't get it through the neutral zone, and the Florida Panthers take advantage.
Puck in center, Sam Bennett with it. Across the Ranger line, left side of Rodriguez. To Bennett, he scores! The Rangers give one up late. Sam Bennett got it to Rodriguez, who gave it back. And the Panthers grab a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, the Rangers cleared the puck, but just couldn't get it deep, and the Panthers and Rodriguez was able to transition back, and Trouba got caught out of position. Rodriguez passed it to Bennett, back to Rodriguez, back to Bennett, who beats Igor Shesterkin for the goal. So it would be Bennett getting his 6th of the postseason. Rodriguez gets the only assist at 19-10. You hate to give up those goals late. And the Rangers were trailing 1-0 after 20 minutes of play. As we mentioned, the Rangers did not have a shot on goal in the final 6:24 of the first period. That was a Philip Hedl shot. So the Rangers looking to try to generate some offense. They would get a quick shot to start the second period and wanting to get off to a good start. And this was an evenly played period in the second, with both goaltenders doing what they had to do, including Igor Shesterkin and a post.
Panthers take it back, brought back in by Lundell with a shot saved. There's a rebound in front, chipped over the top by Tarasenko.
So Igor getting the job done there, and then Bobrovsky on the other side of the ice stopping Adam Fox.
Sent around the boards, Fox, top of the right circle, skates down with it to the goal line. Centers, saved by Bobrovsky, and he covers in the crease. Neat play by Fox.
Yeah.
Fox playing better in this game, getting some opportunities, and then a sneaky play by Wenberg, and almost giving the Rangers a tie.
And Barkov wins it back. Down the boards comes Forsling to the goal line. Try to bank it in off Shesterkin, who hugged the post and blocked it. Kept in by Forsling. Winds it behind the Ranger net. Chipped ahead by Miller and cleared out by Schneider all the way down. On goal and a save made by Bobrovsky. A great hustling play by Wenberg on the play, and a great save by Sergei Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
Angled it towards the goal, almost got a sneaky shot on goal and a tally, but Bobrovsky was strong, and it stayed a 1-0 game. And then an excellent opportunity for the Panthers on the other end to get that insurance.
Miller in his own zone, along with Hedl. Miller to the blue line, angles right, backhand pass taken away by Bennett. Here's a breakaway, Kachuk to the net, save! Great save by Shesterkin on Kachuk.
That was a big-time play. Now, Miller may have helped out a little bit, kind of a slash on the wrists of Kachuk. He'd complain about it, no call, but it would be a huge save by Igor Shesterkin to keep it a 1-0 game. So an evenly played period, no goals, no penalties. Panthers would outshoot the Rangers in the middle frame 11-9, so they'd have a 24-18 lead, but it was a pretty evenly played game, but the Panthers had the only goal. Third periods have been really tough for the Rangers in this series, especially over the last few games where the ice was tilted and the Rangers just could not get out of their own zone. It didn't feel like that was the case at all in this third period, but the Rangers still struggled to get opportunities. But it would be Bobrovsky, when they would crack the code, that would be strong.
Ekblad trying to play it. It's moved to the sideboard. Stopped by Lindgren for a shot that's blocked by Ekblad. Batted down the line, kept in. Fox right side. Drops it off for Kakko. He circles. He shoots. A deflection and a save made by Bobrovsky. Good shot there.
Yeah, Rangers just trying to find anything to get going. So the Panthers weren't overwhelming on their side either, but the Rangers just could not figure out a way to get the game tied. So it stayed 1-0 until we got to the middle part of the third period. Then it would be a former Ranger that would burn them.
Is Kulikov. He's checked there. It's taken away by Kakko. Tried to get it to Hedel, but it's picked up and shot by Panarin, who's spent extra time on the ice. His shot blocked by Lundell. Back into the Rangers zone. Miller had it taken away. Lundell pass in front. They score!
Tarasenko.
Oh, boy. That Lundell and Tarasenko, they had a big hand in the goal the other night. And now Florida with a 2-0 lead.
It was Keandre Miller across the ice just chopping at the puck to try to get it out. But Luostarinen would be able to keep it in. Lundell would then fire it across the ice to Tarasenko. Braden Schneider did everything he could. He got his stick on Tarasenko's stick, but Tarasenko was just too strong as he was still able to get the puck through and beat Igor Shesterkin. Tarasenko is third of the postseason. Lundell, Luostarinen get the assist at 9:08, and the Panthers get that all-important insurance goal to make it 2-0. But give the Rangers credit, they still would not die. They did everything they could to try to fight way back into the game, including this opportunity from Filip Hedel.
Kept in at the line, but the cross-ice pass by Gustafsson is out of the zone, recovered in center by Panarin. Weaves his way back in. He's double-teamed. He's by himself. 4 Panthers there. Carried to the goal line. Centered in front. A backhand shot, a save on Hedel by Bobrovsky.
So the Rangers continue to press. They pull the goaltender. And much like they did in game number 5, down 2 goals, the Rangers would cut the deficit in half.
Tkachuk couldn't clear. Kept in by Fox. Set up for Zibanejad. He broke his stick on the shot. Tried a big slap shot, broke his stick. Rangers keep in. Panarin shoots. He scores! Artemi Panarin with 1:39 to go in regulation time has given the Rangers some life. It's now a 2-1 game.
So Panarin gets his first goal in 9, his first goal of this series, his 5th of the playoffs. Trocheck and Fox would get the assist at 18:20. So, hey, reason to believe Rangers more comebacks in the regular season and postseason combined, and they had 1:40 to see if they can find a way to get the equalizer. Igor's back in the net, face off at center ice. Rangers eventually get into the zone, pull Igor again, and they would do everything they could in the final seconds to try to get this game all square.
The Rangers season has come to a disappointing end. It's over. The Florida Panthers have defeated the Rangers in Game 6, 2-1 to advance to the Stanley Cup Final for the second consecutive year. The Rangers' dream of a Stanley Cup has been ended in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Final.
So the Rangers come up short, get outshot in the third, 10-6 for the game, 34-24. So that theme continues where the Rangers just didn't get very many opportunities to score. They would score on the few opportunities they had, but just not enough in this series. Another 1-goal game, another disappointing defeat. And for the second time in 3 years, the Rangers bow out in the conference final, this time in 6 games as well. And this time to another Florida team. 2 years ago it was the Lightning. This year it's the Florida Panthers. So the Panthers go back to the final, and it'll be the 5th consecutive year that the Eastern Conference will be represented by a team from Florida. 3 straight years Tampa, now 2 straight years Florida, as the Panthers will await the winner of Edmonton and Dallas, and that series will continue tomorrow in Edmonton with the Oilers leading the best-of-7 series 3-2. Plenty coming up here on the post-game show. When we come back, we're going to hear from Jacob Trouba, Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, and Peter Laviolette. And we'll also talk about what the Rangers can do during the offseason as the 23-24 season comes to an end after a 2-1 loss in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final in Sunrise, Florida. New York Rangers hockey on ESPN New York and the MSG Radio Network continues after this timeout.